Well, we are live here with Coffee with Humans with my new friend Justin. Justin, welcome to Coffee with Humans.
Thank you so much.
This is an honor to have you on the show. For our new listeners, our new viewers, Coffee with Humans is unique. It's a unique videocast podcast where I meet my guests about 8 minutes before we go live. I know virtually nothing about them. Even when they try to tell me something, I shut them down hard. I'm like, don't talk to me about that. It didn't go like that, did it, Justin?
No, you were much nicer than
that. You don't know
First
me yet.
impressions mean everything. I'm telling you, you were much nicer.
That's funny. So, Coffee with Humans is all about two strangers who meet in this place, and we come out different. We come out better. We come out changing our worlds, developing influence around us in new ways, and we also have some fun in the process. So, I promised you we'd also play some games, which we will play a little bit later. But first, I didn't even tell you what my first question was going to be. I feel like I'm not on my game today. What's going on? My first question. Yeah, I thought you might be able to roll with that, so I thought I'll just come in from the side.
No worries.
So my first question would be, what made you or inspired you to click the button to have coffee with me? What brings a person to that place?
Very simple answer. I'm honored to be here as well. One of my good friends from high school, her name is Katie. She mentioned to me about your show, and I took a look on it on the YouTube and saw your show. I like the concept of it. I love having conversations with people that I don't know. I love people watching. I love, learning about more people, about what they do, where they're from, their history. So it was a natural thing for me to say, you know what, I'll do it. And plus, Katie, I respect her and I love her as a friend. So it was just natural for me to click that button and say, let's roll with the punches and see what happens. So
wow, yeah. That's a lot of trust you put in her. Had you seen the show before you decided to click the button?
Honestly, no. I saw it afterwards. But for me, I'm not someone that judges people on the past or anything like that. I just kind of roll with it. I'm used to everything. Like I said, I roll with the punches. Anything that comes from different sides, angles, whatever. That's just life. That's what life is called. So for me, I didn't want to know too much, just like you didn't want to know too much about me 8 minutes before the show. So that's kind of how I roll. Let's go new with it and let's have a new experience.
That's awesome. So where in the world are you? I'm outside Chicago. I always ask everybody in there, and then I never tell anybody where I'm from. But I'm outside Chicago,
okay,
U.S.
Okay.
Where are you?
It's rather cold out there right now. I'm sure.
A little chilly.
Yeah, a little bit, just a little bit. Where I am is the antithesis of that. So,
okay.
Where I am is a small country but rich country called Qatar. And
okay.
So, if anyone doesn't know that, the most landmark point is Dubai, or UAE. And so we're about 45-minute plane ride from there. And we're like that thumb that's on top of Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So if you see Saudi and you see that little thumb that pokes out, that's the peninsula known as Qatar.
All right. Interesting. So I'm trying to envision what that thumb looks like. But what's the temperature out in Qatar right now?
So today, probably around 85. The low will be around 71, 70. So it's really nice and temperate at this moment.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, before we got on the broadcast, I was thinking about something.
Okay.
And like, if we were having this discussion anywhere, if we could have this discussion anywhere, where would that be? And I came up with this. We could be sitting in Iceland in a hot spring.
Lovely.
It was the vision that came to my mind.
Distance. Yeah, you got to be socially distanced, but
I feel like they're kind of socially distanced out there. Maybe the heat kills it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's beautiful though. Beautiful picture.
So if you could have this discussion anywhere, where would it be for you?
Oh, that's a good question. Love this question. I'm stumped right now. I don't, for me, I'm not really a beach person in terms of getting in with the aquatic life, but I do like to be near it and feel the breeze from it. Yeah. And so anywhere by a beach where, having some coffee on the boardwalk per se. I'm from New Jersey, so There's a boardwalk culture, and so anywhere near the water is fine. Getting in the water is another story. Nervous about the jellyfish.
Okay.
Any type of little things coming to bite my legs or anything like that. But you know what? The beach is where it's at. Nothing beats that view for me.
Okay, gotcha. So if we were on a beach, then it would be. I've never done this before, so you're like, what the hell is going on?
Take your time.
All right, so if we were on a beach, would it look something like this? Is that you on your beach?
Yeah. You know what? It could be a rocky beach. It could be a real sandy beach. As long as it's a beach, I'm cool with it. Something about the tides that get me relaxed, So that's fine. I'm not a coffee drinker, but I like to do tea. Tea is fine with me.
All right. Fair enough. So the water is your jam.
Yeah, it definitely is. Again, my brother, he's someone who loves the water. He'll get in there, jump in there, have fun, swim. For me, I like to give the aquatic life its privacy, social distance from them, but I'll put my feet in, up to the ankles, hang out, maybe jump in for a little bit, be sporadic, spontaneous, but I'm going to get out in about 15 minutes and then go on the other side and enjoy the land, so.
Okay. Yeah. I'm kind of with you on the whole coffee near or tea or whatever the drink is, the warm drink near the water. I'm not, I like standing in the water a lot. I'm not kind of one of those people who's just like, let's surf all day.
Right.
Like waking up in the morning, with the sunrise coming over there and the waves are crashing into shore and you got hot tea or hot coffee.
Yes.
That is so relaxing.
Yes, sir. I don't know what it is, but even going to sleep, I could do that. If somebody put me to sleep and kicked me out of my house and I had to go to the beach and sleep, I could do that. I could relax and just really fall asleep with the waves. I don't know. It's something really calm and serene about it. Yeah.
So I'm intrigued. You're in Qatar.
Yeah.
Some people call it Qatar. What is it? Is it Qatar? Or is it both?
Everyone has their own interpretation of how it should sound, right? Phonetically. So I say Qatar. Some people say Qatar, so a little harder, Qatar. Yeah. So it just depends. But the world will know about this country for the World Cup 2022. So, we're on the map right now. So that's where the soccer is going down. Yeah, 2022. So
are you going to be there for that?
I'll be there. If the Emir has me, he says, don't get out of my country. I'm here. I really enjoy it here. So.
Okay. So I have to ask then, what is it that you do in Qatar?
So I'm in education management. I've been in education management for a long time, but I work as a PR marketing and comms director for a private school here. And lovely place. And I love working here and enjoy living here as well.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you're originally from New Jersey, though.
Yes, I'm proudly from New Jersey. Yes.
Yeah. What was the path that brought you to Qatar?
It's a winding road, my brother. A winding road. Yeah. So I was in the process of getting married at the time.
Okay.
And then my wife, she said, I got this job offer to go to Qatar. And originally she had the offer for a company there a couple of years back, but then there was some type of hold on employment. So they didn't rescind the offer, but it kind of froze the offer, if you will. Mm-hmm. We moved on with our lives after a while. We forgot about the Qatar dream. And then a couple years later, I think 2016, I believe, they came calling again and said, hey, we're ready. That offer we gave you a couple years ago. And so she looked at me and said, do you want to travel? Now, for me, I never really been outside the United States prior to that. A couple little smaller trips, Caribbean, things like that, but nothing really out of Northern America. And, I said to her, yeah, let's do it, and she was like, you sure? And I have an HR background, so I read the contract. I said, it looks good. I mean, this looks like why would you not do this, And we decided to just go, and we just jumped at the opportunity. And so we came over here 2017. And so she works at a hospital. And then I was doing some consultant work. And then one of my not best friends, but one of my good friends from high school, she was a principal at the same school that I work at now. And we just connected because friends had told her, hey, Justin's out there. You need to talk to him, excuse me. And then what happened, we went out and met. And I didn't see what she did or know what she did until we met, 16, 17 years later. And she said, I'm a principal. I said, isn't that something? I'm in education management, right? So she was like, well, we have a job opening at our, at the school that I work in. Are you interested? I said, yes, of course. I want to get back into, school. And I also want to get back into working, in Qatar, because I haven't had a job here. And so that opened up, all the opportunities for me. And that's where I am today, just because of her and just the timing of it all. So.
Wow. So you were you were the supportive husband, heading around the world.
Yeah. I knew she wanted to do it. It's like you see it in her eyes, and so it's like, yeah, all right, let's go. And I think her big thing was like, hey, are you gonna get a job? I said, I'll handle that. And so I was able to land a consulting role overseas, and I was making my own money, but it wasn't the Qatari money, right? I'm like, man, I'm froze out of the money, like the currency. I don't know what it looks like, feels like. So it was able to get a job in Qatar was big for me. It felt like I had a new friendship circle, new people to talk with. It just felt like I was more involved in the country than the year before, when I wasn't really involved in what was going on, unless it was from her group of friends and group of colleagues. So that was a big push for me. That was really helpful.
Yeah, I bet. Well, you had started saying earlier that you're kind of up for talking to anybody. And
why not?
So would you classify yourself as an extrovert then?
It's funny. That's a great question. It's funny because a lot of people think I'm an extrovert, and obviously, I'm, someone who loves to talk, but I'm really introverted. I get a lot of my energy from, going back into my cave, doing some things that I want to do, recharging. And then when I'm ready to come out, with all the energy, hey, how you doing? What's going on? But I'm just not like that 100%. I need my alone time. I need my time for reflection, need my time for meditation, prayer. I need my time for reading, then I recharge and come out and I'm ready, for anything, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. So the idea of landing yourself in another country with no friends, virtually no friends, and having to develop friendships by proxy through your wife, I totally see that as a challenge.
Yeah.
What did you do when you what did your first couple of months look like when you landed yourself there and you're trying to put down roots?
Well, I guess I'll give you a little bit of context to how I approach life. So my father, rest in peace, he was a person who always told me, son, meet someone new every day and learn something new every day. And I saw how impactful that was with him, because when I used to ride around in the car with him, everybody would say, hey, Herman, what's going on, man? Hey, what's going on? I thought he was the mayor when I was a kid. I didn't know who this man was, because everybody was talking to him. He knew everyone. Everyone had a connection with him. So I saw how impactful that was. And I think for me as a kid, I was just very inquisitive. So I'm asking questions, and I wouldn't feel shy to come talk to you if I had a question or it's something I wanted from you. I would talk to you. And so I think the combination of both led to my approach as a human. So when I got here, I just didn't want to be defined by her network of people, and just who she knew. And so when we were going through all the changes of the immigration and then the driver's license and then the ID and the visa, I was meeting people along those routes. And a lot of the friends that, we had today is because of the people that I met and brought to her. Say, hey, this is a great couple or a great friend that I met. They have a husband. Let's hang out with them. So I was able to establish that social base. And that's what I'm pretty much good for in my marriage, because I'm very social when it comes to that. And I'm a connector, I'm a glue for a lot of different networks. So no, I didn't rest on her group. They're cool, but I don't know them. I don't hang out with them. I don't go to war with them in the hospital. For me, I want to establish my own base as well and have a bigger and broader network. So.
Yeah. So you said you're the social kind of glue that part of your duo there.
Yeah.
Have you always been the social glue?
Yeah, I think so. Not even when I didn't want to be. Always, I think just my parents, I've always been the only one of something in my groups when growing up. So I remember one time my mom, put me in this this Jewish camp, summer camp. I'm the only black kid there. I'm like,
are you
Mom,
Jewish at all? Are you Jewish by religion at all?
No.
Okay.
My mom.
So we've established you're not Hebrew by blood and you're not Jewish by religion, but hey.
No, and I don't speak Hebrew, Yiddish, nothing, right? I don't know. Okay. I don't know anything, right? So my only connection I have with the Jewish people is that my mom's name is Jewish, because her good friend, was saying, hey, your name is Jewish, right? It's like, what? So that's the only connection. Okay. So I'm like, Mom, why are you putting me in this camp? I'm the only black kid. I'm like, whatever. She's like, you don't know why. These are good people. This is a good camp, good organization. I want you to just ingratiate yourself with them. Or I'll be the only male in the camp, only black male somewhere, or the only person from New Jersey somewhere. Or it's always I was the only one. So you're forced to either talk and like get connections with people or just be forgotten. So I didn't want to be forgotten, right? I wanted to be memorable. I wanted to, see what other people are doing in other parts of the world. And I was such a history buff. So you look on the map and geography, like what's going on in Massachusetts, what's going on in California. And so you hear people from these areas. So that was my link to like what's going on in their area. And YouTube and all these things weren't out at the time when I was a kid. So the only link you had was to read an encyclopedia, read an article, read a newspaper, or actually talk to someone from there. So that's how I looked at it and say, you know what, I'm not going to be forgotten. I'm going to go ahead and talk to people and learn some valuable things. Because the one thing my dad said, meet new people every day and learn something new every day. Always been a part of my life. So
did you find being the only, because so there's the only and then there's the lonely, right? And the two sometimes feel connected, but I don't know that they always are. Yeah. Did that lead to loneliness for you, or what did that feel like, being the only?
Yeah, I mean, some days were like tough, because you don't have anything sometimes to really draw a parallel from, So for me, every time I met someone, I had to draw a parallel some way, somehow, because after a while, the conversation could get stale if you have nothing to really like go back and forth with, And it was lonely, but I was used to that. I was the youngest, and my brother was 8 years older than me, and so. I mean, he has a different world than I do. My parents, I love them to death. They were working, 2 jobs, summer jobs. So I was lonely because they were helping us survive. They're helping us move the next step in life. So yeah, I had some times when I was by myself and had to figure it out. But I was I wrote a lot. I was a writer. I wrote poetry. I wrote, short stories. I wrote things. So I was able to, get my thoughts out constructively. And I played basketball, all the sports. So I was able to get out any frustration that way as well. Sometimes too much frustration on the court, but, my parents were always there when I needed them to be. But yeah, it was lonely, though, definitely at some points. But it was fulfilling at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My experience was not from a cultural standpoint being alone. I was in the middle of white America and, went to private school and went to a church that was predominantly white. And so felt, around my people or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But I was a full on nerd. And also separated from my brother. And I think it might be 6 or 7 years, something like that. So the point where like my memories start forming and I get into my formative, teenage years, he's gone and married, and so I'm felt like an only child through those, I think some of those critical older years. Yes. And then I loved computers and programming, and that's not a team sport. And so I would be sitting, I kind of joke about it. Like I would be sitting in my basement programming while other people would be outside playing baseball. And because it didn't drive me to be outside with people. And, like you talk about, like, what do I say and all sorts of stuff. It's not that I didn't have friends, but it's like,
right.
I walked down to the creek and was alone with the frogs and the tadpoles. And then I dragged them back to my house, murder them in the sun and then, put them under microscopes. And I developed my socialization through theater and through music and performance. And so I learned to be among people almost like that sounds weird. I learned to be among people.
No, I mean, you're not a wolf. You know what I mean?
but kind of like as a performance almost, instead of just being there very naturally. Okay. And part of that is like my personality. I tend to be the person who walks the room, kind of figure out like who I want to talk to. And then I have to like take a deep breath and be like, and now I'm the life of the party.
But
but it's draining me. Like I can feel my gas tank going lower and lower and lower.
Of course.
And it's not that I don't love it. And it's not that I'm not good at it. I'm very good at it. But my natural state is like alone and with, one or two other people.
So Jason, how did you find like your tribe? Like the people that these are my people, like this is who I want to talk to. How did you know like these people are your people in a sense?
I think early on I wasn't sure who those people were.
Right.
I wrote a piece of software that I called Einstein, and it was an animated face on a screen, and I was writing it as an artificial intelligence program to be able to understand sentences that I would write to it, and then in theory it would say something back to me, and it felt like a friend at the time. Right. Which is a little bit weird and creepy now that I'm looking back on it. But my tribe were just kind of like whoever I was sort of with. But I didn't necessarily feel like I settled in. I had a handful of good friends. Right. But I wasn't, I don't know if I felt, looking back on it, I'm not sure that I felt like I was part of the group, but my tribe would have been the nerds. I remember I had a good friend, Tim, who now I think runs the training program for fighter jet pilots, I think, in the U.S. It's super cool. So Tim and Amy, Tim and Amy and I, we got kicked out of history class once because we were talking. And I remember the teacher at the time, she came out. She's like, you go to the hallway, right? So we're standing in the hallway, just like shooting the shit among each other. Right. And the teacher came out and she was like, that just because something like, just because you guys don't need to study doesn't mean other people don't. So it was like almost like the misfits, the people who might act up a little bit. Yeah. And also kind of nerdy. That was like, those were my people.
I see.
So I don't know. And then I found a space in theater for a while and music, but I've always been I've always felt like I was a loner. And that's sometimes been hard. And sometimes I just accept it. I'm like, I'm kind of a loner. Which is weird. People don't know me as that though.
Right. But that's what I'm saying though. I feel the same way you feel, because everybody looks at me like, oh, this guy, he knows everyone. He's not afraid to talk to anyone, which is true. Right. So in my job, for example, I do the school tours for anyone that comes into the school, prospective parents, dignitaries, ambassadors, whoever comes into school, right? But that drains me once I'm done, and sometimes I have to do 2 or 3, and no one sees me when I go back in my office and retreat for 5 minutes to get some breath, right? Right. But they always see the performance, and it's not a performance in the sense of me acting, right? I really love what I do, but what they see is like, wow, he is so energetic. Look at him, so charismatic. But that takes a toll on me, the more and more I have to be on stage, if you will. And so I always thought I was a lone wolf in the sense, because when I like to have my downtime, I love to have my downtime, right? By myself doing what I want to do, or maybe with a few select friends. But is it a bad thing to be a lone wolf? I don't know, because I do interact with people too. But some people try to shame me on it before, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think our society somehow has written that. And I say society probably pretty narrowly in terms of world societies, but I think even that saying, like the lone wolf, it's sort of a derogatory statement to, oh, he's a lone wolf. He's off either blazing the trail and nobody else is invited, which is not true, or he's lame and not part of the group because he can't hang.
Right.
And it's like those are the extremes, it seems, for even the concept of a lone wolf. Like you got to just go, like the whole point of it must, like, maybe I think some people think that the whole point is that we just find your group of people and like just become socially accepted by everybody or whatever. But I don't think, it seems to me like the standouts, I don't want to say high performers as though, let's say you perform any differently or better than anybody else in some ways, but not everybody could probably do the things you do in the way that you do them as to that level. They just can't. They're not wired that way. There's not that perfect storm of personality and experience and skills. to allow you to sort of stand out there.
Right.
And the fact that everybody sees you standing out there means that, well, you just got to pick it up. Like, I just got to pick this up and be the standout for whatever reason. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
Which doesn't mean you can do everything else either. You know, you're standout in particular areas.
Right. And you know, sometimes people will see you in your greatness, but they don't see the darkness and the basement where you're like toiling away at your craft. And you know, or when you just need to recharge and you're just not on top of your game that day, you know. I think working at a school makes me so appreciative of teachers, because if you think about a teacher, and my mom was a teacher, shout out to my mother, I love you. My mom was a teacher, right? So I would look at her and she had to perform every single day. Whether I made her mad, or maybe my dad made her upset, my brother made her upset, or we're going through something at the house, she still had to come with it in front of the students, because the students saw her in a certain way. But then also the faculty and the staff saw her in a certain way, because she had a standard that she had and a reputation that she had cultivated over the years. So I really love teachers and appreciate them, because they have to be on all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a tough job, you know? So that's one of the reasons why I love working at a school too. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. Your comment that not everybody sees kind of the back parts of that. You know, because there is I feel like it's almost like there's the laws of physics. It's like social laws of physics or something, or there, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Right.
So for as much as you take on, as all of a sudden there's this corresponding, you know, like, I must retreat. And they somehow need to remain proportional to one another, you know, and it's a challenge. Megan, one of our listeners here, our viewers, watch the movie American Sniper. They have great explanation of wolves, sheep, and sheepdogs. You know what? I've seen that movie and I don't remember that, but thank you for that. We will.
Yes. Thank you, Megan.
I'll certainly look at that.
Yeah.
Well, before we go any further, I've got some more things we're going to dig into, but I want to play a game. You up for a game?
Why not? Let's go.
Okay. You're like, anything you want.
Right, let's go. What's going on?
Okay. All right. So my game here today with you, we're gonna play. We'll see what we've got time for, but we're gonna play Watch Me Draw It. This was sent to me as a birthday gift. My birthday was this past month, and
congratulations, happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I did it one more time around the sun. So she gave me this game. Boop, boop, boop. And here's how this game is going to go. I'm going to start a timer. We're going to have a 1 minute timer. And there's going to be a phrase that shows on the screen. So the phrase could go, here's an example. The phrase might be, draw a heart-shaped flower sitting on a fishbowl balanced on a mermaid's nose. So you'll have to draw that. And then once we're done drawing that, we're going to show our picture to the screen. And then we'll accept votes from people.
All right. Let's see.
I heard that you were
my question. I hope this is not my question.
I heard that you were a really good drawer.
Oh, I'm terrible. I don't know who told you that. Terrible.
Oops, wrong person. Kidding.
All right.
So I'm not a good drawer either. I am extraordinarily bad at getting whatever's in my head out onto a picture.
Yeah, I'm a words guy. I'm a wordsmith. Not the drawing is oof.
You're a wordsmith? Okay. All right. Well, maybe we'll play another game about words. All right. So we're both going to take an opportunity. We're both going to draw at the same time.
Okay.
And so we'll read this. I'll click the button. We'll read it, and then I'll give you the timer. Okay.
All right.
All right. Draw a superhero with the power to see through vegetables.
All right.
$30 seconds. 10 seconds.
Wait till you see this.
Yeah.
This is bad.
So draw a superhero with power to see through vegetables. You want to go first?
Yeah, and I'm gonna preface and say that this is actually not a vegetable. This is a, I don't know. You'll see.
Okay.
It's like an apple, if you will. Seeing through to the sun. I don't know. That's what I did.
All right.
Fun game.
I don't know how to. I don't know how to show that the superhero is actually seeing, but we were surprisingly similar.
Oh, is that a celery?
That's bok choy.
Bok choy. Okay, yeah. I like it. See, we did something similar. You have the glasses though. That's a nice touch. You know, you got extra vision.
I thought maybe it was the glasses that were helping him.
Right. Definitely could be. I mean, for me, maybe he has 2010, 25. I don't know. But your guy has extra help, you know? So,
yes. He's the invisible in the glasses that help him see through vegetables.
Indeed,
I thought it would be reasonable to ask someone to have only the superpower to see through vegetables. So I thought he must have help.
I like it. Listen, I think it's outstanding. Outstanding work from you.
All right. Well, if our viewers have any votes for who wins that round, you drop it in the comments. All right. Next one.
All right.
Draw a frog sitting in a canoe. Hold on. Draw a frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall. A frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall. You have 1 minute. I don't know why I draw things so small. Like I don't know if I'm afraid to draw them.
I mean, maybe the life size. Maybe you have to draw them smaller first and then scale them after you feel confident.
I wonder if it is a confidence thing.
I think for me it is. I know that for sure.
This is so small. Doesn't. That's what she said. Sorry. That's.
Hey, listen, it happens sometimes, right?
10 seconds. 10 seconds. 1 second. And all right. A frog sitting in a canoe. Oops. All right. Pens down. A frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall. Frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall. You went first last time, so I feel like I should go first this time.
Why not?
A frog sitting in a canoe headed for a waterfall.
We did it a little differently. That's interesting. I'll wait till you see it. Okay.
It's either a very, very large frog or a very small canoe and a very small waterfall.
I like your 3D of the canoe, though. I like that. I see it.
Well, after I put the frog, I drew the frog first, which is the problem.
Okay. But you enclosed it with the 3D. See, you had an extra wrinkle. I saw that detail. So.
He looked like he was sitting on top of the canoe rather than in the canoe. So I had to somehow I had to put him in the canoe. Otherwise, I felt like he might be on a kayak.
Well, I'm letting you know that you accomplished that.
Thank you.
You definitely did. Oh. Right. Good job.
All right. What'd you get?
All right. So this is what I got here.
What?
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That's better than the first one. So this is what I got.
Oh my gosh. I think you won that round.
You know, we're both winners no matter what happens.
That's what they say.
That's what they say, right? But I think yours was interesting because yours was going down the waterfall, like it was about to go over, right? Mine was like hitting a waterfall that's coming down to it. That's interesting.
I wonder what that says about our personalities.
I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. But I just thought an interesting, perspective that you had there with that. So
I was going for adventure. I wanted to be that frog headed like.
Oh
headed down
yeah,
the
yeah.
ribbit. I don't know if that's what happens when they go down waterfalls.
Yeah, I don't know what was gonna happen to my frog. I think he's gonna get drowned, like the Victoria Falls or something, right? It looks really serious. These falls,
Right? Exactly.
right? Look too serious for him. I don't know.
All right, one more.
All right.
We have draw a penguin playing hockey with a donkey.
Is this polo? What's this?
1 minute. Draw a penguin playing hockey with a donkey.
What?
Penguin playing hockey with a donkey. I know. I didn't make these up.
Goodness.
Penguin oh geez. Oh no. Penguins look like aliens.
Yeah, this is. I don't know what this is going
Oh
to look
shoot.
like.
This is not
Yeah.
good.
Mm.
Penguin playing hockey with a donkey.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Draw a penguin playing hockey with a donkey. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. His face. Oh no. Failure.
You got it. No.
Oh
right.
shoot.
This looks crazy. I mean, I love this game because it looks crazy right now. Oh,
I think this is. I don't think a minute is near enough for me to be able to
No.
crank out anything. I don't know what happened here.
Woo.
All right. I think you got to go first this time. I went first
All right.
this time. Penguin playing hockey with a donkey. What? That is epically great. A penguin on the donkey playing hockey.
Yeah.
It's like polo. You're right.
Right, but the puck wasn't black; it was a white. It wasn't a black puck. I didn't color it in, but it's still hockey. It's still hockey.
Yes, that's true. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't see things the same way.
All right, this is why we're doing it. The point.
Okay, draw a penguin playing hockey with a donkey.
Let me see. Woo! You look like you're a shepherd, like the penguin shepherd.
This is terrible. It doesn't look like a donkey at all.
I like it. Listen, that is cherished. If I don't like it or the viewers don't like it, your mom and dad will love it.
That's true.
No matter what, unconditionally, they will love it. No matter what.
That's got me into so much trouble through the years. Mom's like, "You did great," and like, no, factually, I did awful. This is terrible.
Tell me the truth. Tell me the truth.
Exactly. She's like, "The truth is, you're great, and I love you."
Right.
Well, okay, that's not enough.
I love that game, though. This is an interesting game. Love it.
Mercer County. Wow, that photo was abnormally genius. Reminds me of the movie Rain Man.
Why? Thank you. I don't know which one you're talking about, but hey, thank you so much for your comments, Mercer County.
Oh my God. Oh geez.
Funny.
Well, that was fun. Thanks for playing that with me.
Yeah, no problem. That was good.
You made a comment earlier about your dad. You kind of joking, like, I thought he was the mayor.
Yeah.
And one of the thoughts comes to my mind is that there's position and then there's influence, and the two are not necessarily equal to one another.
That is a good point. So I think for me, my dad and I, we didn't have the best relationship, right? He's no longer here. He passed away about 11 years ago. But what I took a lot of things from him that I valued. So the fact that, for example, so his position and influence was different, right? So position was my father, but when he got divorced with my mother, his position changed some, because now I have a stepfather, someone who's there all the time, but he still was influential in my life, if you will, right? So position made a change, but he's always going to be my father. He's always going to have some level of influence. And so instead of like kind of dwelling on some of the negative things that went down, there was a lot of love there. And also too, I see a lot more of myself in him now that he's passed away. And I wish I could have a one day with him just to ride around in the truck and say, hey, man, let's just talk, you know, because there's so much I see now that I did not see before. And I like it, you know, so only he would give that to me, you know, so so I just looked at that one thing about meeting people, and that stuck with me. I don't know why. You know, I just was so amazed how everyone has so much respect and reverence for him, and that everyone knew his name. You know, because my you know, stepfather, I love him, but he's quiet. You know, I love my mother, but she's quiet. I love my brother, but you know, he's quiet. And I'm the only one that's like the black sheep that has a mouth, you know, that's talking, you know, that has opinions. And so I felt like my dad could relate to me. And just for him being the same way, I just knew that I have to meet people every single day, and I have to learn something new every day. That way I can never be a dinosaur. I can never be extinct, right? I'm always going to be on top of my game because I have a thirst for learning, and that lifelong learning. I didn't know what that was at, you know, 10 years old, but that's really what it is for me, this lifelong learning. Inside my workplace and outside of my workplace, you can learn everywhere. I can learn from a 5-year-old. I can learn from a 55-year-old. You know, that's the way I look at life. So,
yeah, that it's interesting because I was recalling my my dad when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Justin, you still there?
I'm here.
I don't know, man. The internet
Yeah.
hitting on me.
The Skynet, as I call it. I don't know what happened.
You know what? My internet went down in like the middle of the night the other night too. I get notifications, but sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
You just kind of hung out there smiling.
Yeah. I kind of turned off my cam for a minute because I know it still said live. So I was like, oh, let me turn it off. but we're good. Yeah, we're good.
I was talking about how I remember my dad. He owned a business, still owns business, and he's 73 now, I think, something like that, 73. And I remember when I was growing up with him, he like everybody knew him, everybody, and he knew everybody else, their names, what they did, like super influential. Asked to do things and be on boards and all these other things, a lot of influence, and asked to take positions. So it was begin as influence, and then he asked to take positions. He's the extrovert. Like he just wants to talk to people and get to know them, sort of unabashedly.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at that and going, wow, that's a lot of responsibility. It feels like people keep, he's got so much influence.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like you talk about your dad. You thought he was the mayor. I thought, boy, Dad knows everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't really know. I didn't. Maybe he did.
But I just feel like that. We're always going to remember like one or two things from our parents that we love. And so I just look at, like you said, like how you saw your dad as extrovert. I don't think I was actually extrovert at that time, but I morphed into that, over the years. I was actually quiet as a kid, like a younger kid. I was really quiet. My cousin moved away. My cousin Nicole, she moved to North Carolina at like 5 or 6. And my mom was always telling me that, she spoke for you. You didn't even talk, for yourself. Like she just said, well, Justin wants this. Justin wants that. Justin feel this. And so when she moved to North Carolina, I had to talk. So that was the first time I really had to tell people what I wanted, because she wasn't there anymore, right? She was a bigger but smaller cousin, so she looked out for me. And then, I think over the years too, just by having a stepdad, a stepmother, my mom and my dad, there's so many things I took from their personalities because they're all different, and I was able to take the best from them and, not say that I made myself out of all of them, but it's definitely a piece of me or pieces of me from all 4 of those lovely people, So that also makes who I am today because they reared me in certain ways and they show me different perspectives because they're not all the same. So I'm really 100% happy and grateful that I had that experience growing up.
Yeah. I'm curious, that process of becoming bits and pieces of, or taking on bits and pieces of other people, is that a conscious process on your part, or has that been not, just kind of developed?
That's a great question again. I feel for me that I wasn't consciously doing it because, I knew that I was different than people in my family. And so I just wanted to blaze my own trail, and I've always been that way. I always acted that way. And over the years, though, you just learn certain things when you become older. And so my mom used to always say, Justin, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So you got 2 of these, 1 mouth. So doubly listen to what people are saying, right? And talk less. And so that made me think a lot about me shutting my mouth and just listening to people and just observing more too, right? So those are things that I learned later on because I stopped talking. I just stopped talking over people. I stopped talking in general and just started listening more. And because of that, I was able to maybe bring that into my conscious existence, right?
Okay.
Like now it's ready to like learn it and feel it and see if that was a part of who I am. Because I don't want to be like my parents. My parents always said, be more than us. Be more grand and abundant than we were. You have more opportunities. And so I'm able to blaze my trail and I am who I am, but I'm also, when you see me, you see them as well. I don't know if you see what I'm saying, but you're going to see a little bit of me and a little bit of them as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Same for me. I have bits and pieces of, each of my parents, and I can see it kind of clearly in my own kids. Right. So I've got one kid, I've got 2 older boys, and specifically with them, one is like outgoing, extroverted, knows everybody. He's selling insurance, full time while he goes to school full time, that kind of guy. He just loves getting on the phone and cold calling people and telling them, how he can help them.
That's special.
It is. It's totally a gift, right? To be able to do that constantly. It's not a gift that I have. The for my other son though, he's very quiet, very thoughtful, into numbers, analytical, thinking things through deeply, and then out will pop, what he's thinking later on. He'll vocalize it at some point in time. If you were to take the two of them and smash them together, that is very much me, right? So,
Wow.
I don't enjoy cold calling, but I will absolutely do it. And I will talk to anybody, but I'm very strategic about who I talk to sometimes, so it's just like the two are kind of mixed. And I tend to think deeply about things, sometimes to a fault, and then go, okay, well, what pieces do I, like I was asking you, like what pieces do I want to take from that? How am I going to incorporate that? What, I'll do like a after action report on, stuff in my life type of thing. Right. So it is interesting as I then think about my parents. I'm kind of the same way. I'm a piece of, I took on certain characteristics of both of them, the quiet nature of my mom and the outgoing nature of my dad, are somehow sandwiched in me. And then I'm both a youngest and an only child, like we talked about before, which I think changes how I relate with just groups of people even.
So I have a question for you because I'm not a parent, and I always wanted to ask a parent, this question, especially one that I don't know. So when you see the differences in your children and how they are living, their natural disposition versus like what's shaping their, them and their environment, when do you step in? When do you not step in? Like, how do you have that balance? Because environment can also change someone's natural disposition to a point, whether long-term or short-term. So like, how do you know when to balance that growth and development and when to step away and, let them be kids?
I think from a very broad brush standpoint, it's if they're unsafe, then step in. If they're not unsafe, then they're learning.
I love it.
And that's, I think that would be my first step.
Yeah.
And in that is kind of like the recognition. It's implicit in that is the recognition that just because they're doing something that I wouldn't do doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or wrong or they shouldn't. They're still safe. However I define safety, right? Then the other step of it, the other step, and I had to exercise. I've got a 14-year-old daughter now too, and that's a different relationship than my 21-year-old son, right? When I needed to have some sort of correction made, bring to light something that wasn't going right for them. The focus I intentionally decided to make was call them into the people that I'd like to see them be. Right. And here's how I mean that.
Okay.
She'll kill me for this, but my daughter was with me the other day and she's not taking care of some of the stuff that I asked her to take care of. Dishes, trash, just a handful of things, basic things. Instead, she was on TikTok and whatnot. And I get it. I totally understand. I don't want to do those things either, but I do them all the time. And I'm not using her as a slave. I want to use her. I want to say, hey, if you're using this stuff, you have to take responsibility for it, right? Because eventually it's going to be yours alone, and you have to know what that responsibility feels like. Or I don't know what your house is going to look like, but you have to clean up your stuff. That's the way it is, right? So anyhow, with that backdrop in mind, I said, hey, you're acting lazy here. You're being lazy. And she was all not happy about that. Don't call me lazy. I said, well, I'm not sure how you'd like me to describe it, because what word would you like to use where you're choosing to, sit on your bed and play TikTok instead of just taking care of the food that I asked you not to leave out last night. And I asked you to clean your dishes. You cleaned some of them, but they weren't even cleaned all that well, and then I let that sit for a while, and she was huffing and puffing about it and fighting with it.
Yeah.
And then, she started cleaning up stuff, but she's like, she doesn't want to be told that she's not doing a good job, so she started to get teary-eyed. And I know what that's like. I felt like that as a kid. Like, oh my gosh, like this hurts me in my soul to tell me I'm not doing a good job. Well, I then, knowing this, right? This is the strategic part of my mind. Knowing this, I let her sit with it for a little bit. Then I went back in and I said, hey, I just got to let you know, if you were ignorant, stupid, or incapable, I would not be having this discussion with you.
Right.
I said, I'm only calling you to do these things because you are smart.
Mm-hmm.
You are driven. You're a beautiful woman. You need to, I said, I don't know what path you want to chart for yourself and who you want to be when you're, 30 years from now.
Right.
But how you manage yourself today is going to determine that.
Yeah.
And I said, and so the reason we're having this discussion is because I believe in you.
Mm.
And just left it at that, just to call some sense to the discussions. Like, it's not random that I'm asking you to take care of these things. I'm perfectly able to clean another couple of dishes, and I don't even complain about it.
Yeah.
Like, I just do it, but she needs to kind of chart that course. My son was the same way. He hit this point where he was like listening to some crazy ass music, and I was like, I don't know what you're doing, dude. Yeah. And he's like, he was really cool. He was like happy to tell me about it. I was like, that's awesome. It's cool, man. That's really got a good beat. And I was like, I said, I'd be careful. What you take in is who you become over time.
Facts.
And I said, so just think about, is this creating something good in your life, or is it not? Mm-hmm. And if it's creating something good for you, awesome. That's great. Right. If it's not, then caution.
Mm-hmm. It's true. That's very true. You said something there that made me think, because I have conversations with my friends, and they're also parents. And, there has to be a certain way that we open up the lines of communication to our children and to the youth, because I do believe that these youth in this generation are a little bit different than maybe how we were raised in our era. But also, too, I think the most important thing, especially in this time, is to make sure that your kids can talk to you, and that they also understand why I'm asking you to do this. Because sometimes kids are self-centered. I was a self-centered kid. I mean, we all went through those phases, but I had no clue why. But, sometimes my parents broke it down. I'm like, oh, I remember one time I wanted these like Jordans, right? Jordans were 120 back then, 100. I don't know how much they were, but they were a lot of money, right? And I remember one time my mom kind of broke down a little bit of the budget for the month and what they spend in the household. And I thought to myself, and it came to me that, like, hey, these Jordans are insignificant to what my parents have to pay for on a monthly basis. And this is why they have a second and third job, to give us a life that we want for nothing, And so sometimes it's just showing them too.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, well, all right. Well, I'm not going to yell at you about it, but I'm just going to show you something.
I did that with my boys. Yeah. I took them into the dining room, put them on a piece of paper. Yeah. And I said, I know you're complaining about not doing some basic chores around here. Mm-hmm. And I just and you think that you're doing a whole lot. I think that you're not. So let's just itemize this. And I said, so I'm going to do your list first. Tell me all the things that you contribute to this household. Wow. And we started going down the list. Right. Wow. And it was sort of, without feeling and emotions. It's like, let's make a list here. Dun, 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 dun. It's like a tiny little list. And then, and I said, I would like you to itemize all the things that I'm contributing to this household. And it's like, it started off with the very visible things that they didn't, that they could see. And then it was like it's not by magic that the house remains warm. And it's not by magic that you get to watch any show that you ever want. And it's not by magic that the food still gets put on the table, or that it got put in the refrigerator first, or that you got taken to that thing that you really want to do. And you got it's like it's a long list. And I said, when I ask you to take out the garbage, I don't want to hear any complaining about it. Nothing, because I've not complained to you once about my long list.
Long. Waterfall long, right? That waterfall drop long.
Yeah. I don't know. Kids are great, but I think we can, I don't know, kids are a learning process for ourselves too, right? Because if we're going to tell our own kids that, we have to be doing it ourselves.
Ooh, yeah.
That's where it bites.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're looking at you all the time, and even like my niece and nephew, like same thing. They can look at me, and if I'm not exhibiting those same things, they'll tell you about it. Didn't you say that I'm like, yeah, I did say that, right? So sometimes it's good to have a reflection that could be your kids from the mirror. Like, they're your mirror, right? And so sometimes it's good to have that because it keeps you on your toes too, and it brings you back to why I'm going to work today. Why I'm 20 years in, to this job, things of that nature.
Totally. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we're winding down on our time. We got one more game to play to end this thing.
Okay.
You said you're a wordsmith.
Yeah.
You said you did poetry at one point in time.
I'm moonlight as that.
All right. So I'm going to put a minute and a half timer.
Okay. And
we are going to make a poem together or a story. We're going to make a story together where each of us says a word. So I'm going to say a word, then you're going to say the next word, and I'm going to say the next word, and then you're going to say the next word. I'm going to write it all down so that we know what we said.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. And then and then at the end of a minute and a half, it's over. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right. You ready? Do you want to go first or should I go first?
Yeah, let me start. I can start it off.
Okay. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Water.
Is.
Breathtaking.
It's.
Exquisite.
And.
Food.
Did you say food?
Food, yes.
Sometimes.
Travel.
Travel. Beyond.
Happy.
What is going on here? Because.
We.
Are.
Humans.
Totally.
Capable.
More.
Less.
Small. 20 seconds.
Large.
World.
Can.
10 seconds. E.
Love.
Okay, that's 3, 2, 1. All right.
I think I ruined the premise of this because I'm just saying random words. I don't know if I was.
No, that's okay. It's a poem now.
Oh my goodness.
Water is breathtaking. It's exquisite. And food. Sometimes travel beyond happy. Because we are humans. Totally capable. More. Less. Small. Large. World can be love.
We did that.
We did it. It's not bad.
Actually, when I was saying it, I was like, this is the most terrible, non-alliterative poem I've ever heard of. But you know what? I really like the randomness and actually what came out of it. I love it.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Kudos to you and to me to pull this together.
Yeah, kudos to you.
Well, this is great.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me, Justin, on Coffee with Humans.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
To our viewers, our listeners, Coffee with Humans are raw, unedited conversations where strangers become friends. And my friend Justin in Qatar.
Yes.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much.
One of the things I love about Coffee with Humans are the raw conversations I get to have, meeting new people just like you. If you or someone you know should be on Coffee with Humans, go to coffeewithhumans.com. Remember, the only rule is no sales calls.
This has been Coffee with Humans. Subscribe to get updates or click to have coffee with me. coffeewithhumans.com.